This podcast was brought to you by Uncle Jeep Productions. Hey guys, and welcome everyone to the Triple G Podcast. I'm your host, Uncle Jeep, and with me is Host Drip Media Gaming. We record this podcast live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On today's episode, we have guests returning, making his return for what? This is the fourth time now. John Ebo. Johnny, what's up, man?
I don't know. Is it 4?
I think it's 4. And
you're welcome.
And his and the co-host of the Communication Error Podcast, Cheesy. Good to have you, man.
What's going on, guys?
Good to have you.
Thanks
for coming on.
Yeah, nice to meet you. See, I get the applause, Johnny.
Yeah, I was late on it for him. Oh, I just skipped it. It's fine. I'm sure he's got it at one point. It's fine.
Yeah, like all the time, every day.
Yeah.
We're so glad to have both halves of the Communication Error Podcast with us today, and let's just get right to the actual meat and potatoes. What's going on right now in the world of Nintendo? You may have heard, what was it, early last week or late last week, something like that? Nintendo filed a lawsuit against the Switch emulator Yuzu, and apparently, as of 2 days ago, whatever it was, Nintendo and Yuzu have settled. And it's kind of massive. What happened. So we'll just do a quick little rundown of what happened. Yuzu settled with Nintendo. Yuzu has to pay $2.4 million to Nintendo. Yuzu has to shut down both the Yuzu emulator and the Citra emulator, which is the 3DS emulator, effective immediately. And they have to hand over all of their passwords and website stuff. And apparently as well, which we thought this was interesting, they have to hand over like hardware, like Nintendo Switch hacked stuff.
They have to literally give them their Nintendo Switch systems. Like, if it's not enough, they haven't already just kicked them right in the face while they're down. Like, also, give me your Nintendo Switches too. We're taking all those. I feel like that's a little much.
Yeah. So
a little much.
Let's just start with some quick reactions here. I'll go ahead and ask our newest guest, Cheesy, first. Any reactions that you kind of have to this news, good or bad, otherwise?
Yeah, so I mean, that's kind of crazy. They also have to take their Switch, like all of your progress that you probably had in Tears of the Kingdom is just gone.
I'm saying, man, it's messed up.
Yeah.
Messed up.
So I don't know, like I was
definitely legal copy of Tears of the Kingdom.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess like what I was saying at the beginning of the show or the pre-show is that I have steered away from emulation for just even the conversation, because I am not going to speak on something that I don't know. I just, from what I do know though, I think it is a little crazy that some of these games aren't available on Nintendo systems. And then people are getting in trouble because they're playing their Nintendo games the way that they can, the only way that they can. And Nintendo's like, nah, you can't do that. And it's like, well, then just put your games out on NSO. Like, just have a full library. I guess I don't understand why we're not there yet. They make more money with just the subscription model
and the drip feed. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The slow, and it keeps the people, it gives them something to be like, I know your subscription's about to run up, but here's this, and here's this system. And it's keeping the subscriptions alive. I mean, you're exactly right. That's why they do it.
Then on the other side of it is like what Johnny is saying, Tears of the Kingdom, something that is so new. I don't think you should be emulating a game that just came out, but then where's the line of like, how old is the game? Like, when can you emulate it? I guess when it's not on that system anymore.
Right. And we'll get to that a little bit later on. But yeah, the people, I think what the number was reportedly 1 million people were playing Tears of the Kingdom like 2 weeks before the game ever even came out. Yeah, I mean, in no world is that okay. I mean, no matter anybody who says that's fine is just wrong.
Bootlicker.
You're just wrong. Like, call me a bootlicker, call me a goody two shoe, but I don't just go steal whatever I want whenever I want for funsies. Yeah. Like,
no, I don't walk into Target. I'm like, you know what? I need a new sweater, so I'm just gonna take this sweater. This multi-billion-dollar corporation won't miss the money, so
yeah, right. It doesn't work like that. There, it shouldn't work like that. I agree. it's crazy that it leaked that much. But I've been telling Jeeb, like, he's been mad at me about this, but I just, it's not fully their fault. But like, the Nintendo Switch was hacked and just ran right through like the second it was into somebody's hands. Like, their security is garbage. And I know, G's been like, it's not, it's not on them. It's on the people doing it. But guys, you got to do something. Like, these games every single Switch game, every one of them is leaked. Every one. And it starts
at least like a week before. Like a week before.
It happens every single time. It's like, what are you doing? Like, somewhere along this process, you're giving this game to somebody who's leaking it.
Yeah.
So you should probably fix that part of it first. And I know it's not all on Nintendo, whatever, but still, like, come on.
There's a lot. It's a very complicated and nuanced conversation regarding emulation and this situation in particular, and just emulation in general. Let's begin though, just kind of asking the question: why did this come about now? I mean, the Switch just had its 7th birthday. Like you guys said, every freaking game gets leaked and people are emulating before it comes out just about every time now, before release. Why now? Why? Anybody have any ideas why they think this lawsuit kind of came about now?
Patreon.
Yeah.
I think
they were making money. Like, if it was free, and also 1 million illegal downloads, that's a big number. That's a lot of lost revenue.
Yeah.
And they probably took, the 7 months or however long since Tears of the Kingdom came out to gather all their evidence. And apparently the people that made Yuzu were doing a lot of shady things.
A lot.
Like, they were illegally making copies of the games and releasing them
and making $30,000 a month doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I think you're right about that. I think it is. I think the straw that broke the camel's back on all this was the Tears of the Kingdom stuff. I mean, Nintendo was pissed about that. It was very clear they were not happy about that. And I think you're right. I think it did take them this much time to kind of get everything together. But, what was the other company? The other emulator that was more involved? Yeah.
Well, it's owned by... It's owned by so is Yuzu's an emulator, Citra's an emulator, and Tropic Haze is the company that owns.
Okay.
So Tropic Haze is the actual one that got sued by Nintendo, and the only reason Citra is being affected is because it's owned by Tropic Haze.
No. What's the other Switch emulator?
So Drip is talking about Ryujinx.
Oh, the
Ryujinx, whatever.
So that's the one, I guess, that was more involved with the Tears of the Kingdom thing.
Yeah.
But they don't have a Patreon where they make $30,000 a month. So I think that's why Nintendo was like, you know what? We have way more of a case right here. They may be the problem, but this is where we can go. We know we can, do this and shut this down.
That, and also they probably, if they sue Ryujinx, they probably don't have 2.4 million to even give. So why would Nintendo even waste their time with that? At least with the first lawsuit, they can make their money. Yuzu probably doesn't have 2.4 million right off the bat, but they have some based off that 30,000 a month Patreon. So yeah,
I think it's a problem that emulation is not illegal. So Yuzu is an emulator. That's not the illegal part. It's the illegal downloads. And they were saying that Yuzu was facilitating illegal downloads, but emulation is not illegal.
So just to fill in the gaps for me, what's the difference between emulation and downloads? Like,
emulation is like you drop a ROM,
okay,
and then you play it through the emulator.
Okay.
The emulator just plays ROMs.
Yeah, so an emulator is basically pretending to be whatever console that you're trying to emulate, and then the emulator, you then in a particular file folder system on your PC or wherever you're doing this, you toss in a ROM, which is essentially the files that make up a video game, and you plug that in and you play it as if it makes it pretends to be the console and game.
You make it sound so simple, but every time I've tried to do this, it never works. None of it ever works.
And the funny story, this Steam Deck I have above me, it used to be Drips. And you had failed to play and get your ROM situated on this Steam Deck.
Yeah,
I get it
like,
within the first week. I'm like a
thing.
professional. Never done it in my life, but now I'm like a professional. So
I tried for hours on that stupid thing. Yeah, all I want to do is play Twilight Princess and Wind Waker handheld. That's all I wanted to do.
I did it with
literally the only thing.
I did it within 2 days. I had them up and running.
So I think
yeah, go ahead.
Nintendo's legal team is very interesting because I mean they don't even like when you are posting art of their IP, and like I get it, you don't want a situation like what Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh have gone through, even though those are now like there's no copyright
domain, so that's legal. Yeah,
right, but like still they don't want that same kind of thing just floating around. So I get why Nintendo is so conservative with their IP. But I also don't know what ticks them off, because with like Pal World, I don't think that they were going to do anything with Pal World until there was a mod of Pokemon.
Yeah, they were quite upset about it at one point. I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago. If they had a case at all, which honestly I don't think they do, and I think that's the conclusion we came to. But man, Jeeb went and did a little investigating. Who's the guy? Monk. He became Monk. Jeeb loves Monk.
I became Monk.
And my mom, they love Monk.
That's a throwback.
I'm like, dude.
Does USA even exist anymore?
I don't think so.
Yes, it does. NASCAR races are on USA sometimes, actually. So I'm there a little bit.
Drip's obsessed with the fact that I'm obsessed with Monk. You won't let it go. The fact that I'm obsessed with Monk.
It's fine. You and my mom would have a lot to talk about. That's all I'm saying.
Good.
Anyway,
have her over this July when I come over.
I will. My whole thing I was talking about though, Jeeb went back and looked at their Nintendo's Twitter, X or whatever, and right when all that stuff picked up, like they weren't posting about Pokemon really at all. And then
it was like
posting like once a week to like twice a day, just Pokemon stuff. Like, stop looking over there.
Right.
Look at us. We're the real one. Look over here. They were right in the trend.
Nuts. They were just like, maybe, all right, Pokemon's trending. Like, let's post about Pokemon.
Yeah,
maybe. I mean,
I wouldn't accuse Nintendo of being scared, but I absolutely found some evidence that they were at least listening to the noise and trying to bring it down a little bit. Like, Pokemon guys, twice a day. Remember this game that everyone hates and loves at the same time? Come on, watch this. They felt the heat for sure.
And now Power World's dead, so
done.
Listen, we can't talk about Power World in this show because last time we did it, people had issues.
Everybody wanted to kill Jeeb.
Yeah. So we'll just talk about how piracy is bad.
Yeah, I had messaged you, Johnny, when it happened, and I was like, man, I think I had my piracy is bad moment, just not quite on the same scale. Like every moment, we had a total of like 500 comments across multiple platforms of telling me how
most of it
exclusively
was on
about telling me how much of an idiot I am for having the opinion that I did.
But then they started lumping me in. I was like, I didn't even fucking say anything, guys.
Drip didn't even say anything negative, and they're like, these guys. I'm like, Drip didn't do anything. Like
hold on, whoa.
It's on me, guys.
He was talking about it. He's talking all kinds of shit on whatever he's saying. And I'm like, I thought people were liking that game. I haven't played it. That's all I said. It's like, fucking idiots. Like, okay, whoa, holy shit, man.
Yeah. It was kind of nice when we post anything. Johnny always gets like the brunt of it, and maybe I'm the one that said something wrong, and they're like, "That guy with the glasses is so dumb. What does he know?"
What a nice luxury, man.
There was a comment that was like, whenever I see this guy's face, I know something stupid's going to come out of his mouth. And I'm like, I will take that.
They're not wrong.
At least they know your face.
Yeah.
But you have
because of piracy. So when the whole piracy thing happened, I learned a lot. All right. I learned a lot about piracy in emulation.
And
there's a difference. And also a lot of people try to use game preservation to justify piracy. And it's like, well, for the Yuzu one, doesn't make any sense because the Nintendo Switch is a current system. Like, what are you preserving right now?
Yeah.
Like, you could just go buy Tears of the Kingdom.
Right.
I just think they use it as an excuse to get to play their games for free. That's
every game is still available. It's not like any of them gone away. Like they're still
they might be but they might be harder to get Like if we're not talking about the
Tears of the
games
Kingdom, is that hard to get?
Well, don't forget about the eShop too. Even if it's not hard to get, even if it's hard to get physically, emulation is just digital games essentially, and
right
in the eShop, the games are available.
Sure, and I'm not talking about like the games that are currently on Switch, but Johnny wants to talk about preservation. Like there needs to be a place where you can play these games, and even though you can go on eBay and find them for whatever, they're going to be more expensive than what they were at the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Way more.
Yeah.
We've talked about that a little bit.
I understand, but people use it as an excuse to justify them just stealing games.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about the whole game preservation thing a few times, me and Jeeb. And I said, like, the fix to all this, and everyone's so scared of the digital future and all this stuff and like physical games going away because you don't actually own it. Like there needs to be some place like, I don't know. I would equate it to some place like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but it's just a big, giant building of servers that have every game on a server. They're all there. That is like the hall of video games. Everything is stored there. That's where preservation happens. If there was a place like that existed, I think a lot of people would stop being so afraid of losing physical media, knowing that there is a place, everything's there, and there's, like the Jedis at the temple who keep like all the books and stuff. Just people in robes walking.
Yoda burned them, man. What are you talking about?
Like, come on, that's great.
I agree, Drip. I think there should be something. I don't know if that's the answer. That's kind of like a museum, but there should be something that keeps these games, for lack of a better term, preserved, because that's a big topic that people go about when we talk about emulation stuff, is like preserving these games. I was talking to somebody last night that is smarter than me. A couple people last night that was smarter than me and smarter on the situation than me as well. And they brought up some very interesting points. I'm going to butcher them, but I'll do my best to try to recreate what they were stuff they were talking about. And they've got no skin in the game either direction. They don't really give a shit about Nintendo necessarily or Yuzu. It's more just like, again, being smarter than me on the topic. Technically, emulation is illegal. Now, I am not knowing. I didn't study the law, so I don't know for a fact if that's 100% correct. But from what they were telling me, there really isn't a situation where emulation is actually legal, even if you want to do it in your own home privately, because it's up to Nintendo and the laws at bay. And if Nintendo says you can't, mess with our stuff in that particular way, you are not allowed to. For example, John Deere has notoriously been this way for a century. Even these days, they do it with software locking. These days, they lock their tractors down with software, which is kind of wild. But even back in the day, if you were to try to mess with your own tractor, and nobody really found out about it, it's not a big deal. But if you try to mess with your tractor, and then try to sell your tractor, and they found out about it, you can get some serious trouble. And it's like, but it's my tractor. I purchased my own tractor. Why can't I do what I want with it? Technically, you're not really allowed to. It's really not up to you. It's up to the company and the laws that are surrounding the issue.
John Deere wouldn't let you soup up your tractor?
No.
They still don't? That's messed up, man.
Not only do they still don't,
John Deere,
there's
something they want to do.
There's basically like an iPad and an OS built on these tractors, and the one job is basically to lock everything down. So if you do anything, you lock yourself out of your tractor.
Dude, I bet the John Deere haters, I bet that's what they use all the time in their arguments. Like, John Deere can't even soup up your tractor, man.
Yeah.
Get a Mahindra.
And then, again...
Not being a shill for John Deere.
And as far as preservation, this person I'm speaking to, it was in the museum business. And they were trying to tell me about stuff that I had no idea about. It's a fine line and a weird game that the museum people have to play with preserving things, because that's the job of museums, to preserve stuff. And there's lots of rules. I think the best example I can give off the top of my head, again, I'm butchering, I'm sure, but doing my best. Like a book. Think about a book. In this book, the book was published by somebody, so there's a party you have to keep in consideration. Who wrote the book? You got to keep that part in consideration. People who drew the pictures in the book, got to keep them in consideration. The manufacturers of the book, keep them in consideration. It's not as simple as I acquired a book via legal means, whether it was a thrift shop or donation, and now I want to display it in my museum. It's not as simple as that. There's lots of rules they got to follow. So how that kind of translates to gaming, I don't even know, because but it does translate, because preserving these. Go ahead.
In your example, like they have to get permission from all of these people in order to preserve that book, or
if I'm remembering correctly, loosely, yes. Basically, it's not as, and if they're dead and stuff, then it gets even more complicated. So the point is that it's not as simple as even museum. It's not like you would think they're just doing the world of service by preserving things. Well, they have things that they can't necessarily preserve. Maybe they're allowed to keep it in their in their vault per se, and keep it preserved in a vault. But once you want to start displaying it to people, it gets incredibly complicated. There's a lot of rules they got to follow. So that's just stuff I'd never even thought about, let alone, and then I'm like, oh, that definitely applies to this situation, because it's not as simple as we need to preserve these games. If you actually want to properly preserve these games, it's not by Cheeto Finger Sam in his basement downloading a ROM off of vims.com, and keeping it on his PC. That's not preservation. That's just somebody wanting to play a game, which is fine. I think people should be allowed to do that. If they have their own copy of their own game and they want to emulate it and play it on their own, I have no problems with that. I think that should be legal and fair game. But that's not necessarily the case, whether people like to hear that or not. So just interesting thought process I want to give to you guys. Any responses?
I feel like that would be a little bit easier to do right now with games, just because you know who you got to talk to. You got to talk to Nintendo, or you got to talk to EA, or you got to talk to who the hell ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Publishers, developers, whoever. You know what I mean? That I feel like right now that would be much easier. You're not talking about a book that's 1,000 years old or something crazy like that. So if they could do it, and I see in the chat here, the Video Game Museum is in Texas, the National Video Game. They are the ones who need to get on this. Yeah, they're the ones. I think I'm going to contact them in the morning.
I think I bring that up mostly to say this: a lot of people who bring up the whole preservation thing. Again, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think you should be able to play these games, but just being able to have access to these games is not simply preservation. That's a whole different ballpark that is above any of our pay grades. But I think we should transition the conversation to we should be allowed to play these games, whether or not Nintendo should make them available, or they're in a museum where you can go play them, or whatever the case. We need to have access to these games. And as a free market, people are putting it into their own hands and making these things available for you to either download, or companies like Yuzu, although they did things kind of sketchy, they're giving you the information to allow you to do that. I think that should be fair game. I don't. What do you got? Do you guys think that emulation, because emulation's in jeopardy, in my opinion? I think this whole situation is putting emulation in a hot seat, and because Nintendo kind of has grounds to do this. That's the whole reason they had this lawsuit in the first place.
Let me ask you that. I see what you're saying. I understand what you mean, but I don't know if emulation as a whole is really in that much trouble. I think it's more along the lines of like this whole, and I know. I just want to say I'm not defending Nintendo, so we can get that out there. But like this Yuzu situation, they fucked up. They fucked this up. They were out here trying to make money off this, and of course, you make $30,000 a month off Nintendo shit. You think they're not going to come after you and not going to make a public spectacle of it? Like, just do your shit. Just shut up. Do your shit. It doesn't have to be a money thing. If you really are trying to get people these games and it's not about that, because that's what this whole thing's about, right? If it's going to be cool, if it's all good, if we're doing it just so we can play games or preserve, like, why are we trying to make money off of it? Like, you're not, like, they're full of shit. And that statement they put out about whatever the hell they said, I don't know if that was prepared by Nintendo for them or if they actually said that, but either way, it's bullshit. So, I mean, I think the biggest thing of this is just they just shined a light on this whole thing that didn't need to be shined on it. Like, everything was going fine. Everything needs to be, just don't talk about it. Just do it. Don't talk about it. Don't try to make money off of it. Because whenever people do that, Nintendo comes after you and they make, I mean, what was the ROM site that they got a couple years ago?
Oh, I don't know.
I don't remember what it was, but I mean, God, the site was using like Nintendo everything all over it. It had Mario all over it, and they're selling like Nintendo ROMs. And I mean, I think those people went to jail. I think they got in big trouble.
That's a whole different ballpark.
Yeah, but I mean, Nintendo made a spectacle of it. They did the same thing with this. I mean, you cannot fuck with them like that. I mean, the whole thing, I think, is just shut up. If you're going to do it, just shut up and do it. And don't try to make money off of it. That's what's going to get everybody in trouble, and that's what's going to make this whole thing go away.
I don't think emulation's in any risk of going away. I don't think piracy is going away. I think in a week, we're going to see Princess Peach has leaked.
1,000%.
I think so.
I mean, that probably is happening now, right?
Yeah, there's a demo.
Like the demo just came out. I'm sure they're able to data mine the whole game.
Well, how far are we away? It comes out.
It's in
2 weeks, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay, so I mean Monday, probably Monday. We'll probably hear it's out there. That makes sense. Just gonna put some bets on it. I'm going Monday for sure.
I mean, I understand wanting to have access to some of these older games that we don't really have access to anymore. Like I was seeing people talk about Citrus shutting down, so that means we don't have a way to buy really digital games, and I guess official way to buy physical games, because now everything's just like secondhand market.
Right. No official way. Yeah.
For like for the 3DS.
Yeah, 3DS.
Okay.
And I saw that one of the Pokemon, or two of the Pokemon games, that go for like $300 on the physical market. So I understand that side of it, but I do think people are lying. Like, I have a 3DS, I have a bunch of Pokemon games on here, and I don't go back to play it. So why would I download them illegally? Like, I'm not going to play them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And as one of the only people, if not the only person in this call who emulates games, I feel like I should speak for myself here, or back myself up. I have never pirated a Nintendo game or a Nintendo Switch game. That is above my pay grade of how to do. I don't have a hack Switch. I have no interest in having hack Switch. Now, as far as the other systems that have come and passed, all those systems pretty much went past me by. A lot of you guys know the story out there of me of how I didn't really play Nintendo consoles growing up. I had a Game Boy Advance, but I wasn't huge into gaming as a young kid. Eventually, until the Xbox 360 came out, and I was playing a lot of that stuff. But now as an adult, I've kind of rekindled my love for gaming and kind of fell in love with the Zelda series and Nintendo. So I'm interested. I went back and I got myself a 3DS. I have that. I got a Wii U. I got a Switch, obviously, and I got games for them too. You can see some of them on the back shelf there. So a lot of times, and it started like that. It started with trying to buy a bunch of original hardware and games. Got to the point though where it's like some of these games are just out of reach, like Twilight Princess. My lovely fiance got me a lovely gift one time at a flea market recently, so I actually have it now. But for a long time there, I didn't have I wasn't able to find Twilight Princess,
and you can't get that digitally anymore either.
Yeah, I did buy digitally when it was still available before the eShop closed. But I was only able to buy so many games there last second before it closed. And now there's a bunch of games that I don't have access to now because, from a legitimate standpoint, because they closed the shop. 3DS, same thing. Older consoles that I don't have. Listen, I don't feel bad about emulating GameCube. I really don't. It's not available anywhere. You can't play. It's not available in Nintendo storefronts, and you can buy it secondhand, but the prices for a lot of things are outrageous. And it's like my options are to pay outrageous secondhand prices or don't do it all. Do it at all. That's never gonna fly. People are gonna do what people are going to do. And in my case, I want to play some GameCube games, man. I'm having a lot of fun emulating GameCube on the Steam Deck. And I wish I could I would prefer to do it on Switch, but they don't give me an option to. So, am I a bad person for playing these GameCube games? You can make that determination on your own.
Absolutely.
I happen to think that I'm not being a bad person about it.
You go right down. You emulate it.
Sorry.
Sunshine, you monster.
Yeah, you already have fire behind you. I mean, you're...
yeah. Yeah.
It's not looking good for you.
I mean, there's a fireplace that's fake. That's actually a real candle burning back there. If you can see that, where I can't even see that. So I mean, I have literal fire behind me. Okay.
I do have. I didn't do it myself, but like I have that arcade machine. It just came with like 6,000 games on it. Lots of Nintendo games, tons of them.
Yeah,
tons of them. I didn't do it.
Yeah,
the guy who
there's all those handheld emulators that are on TikTok all the time.
Yeah, my God, it's like my entire feed. It's insane. But yeah, that's not legal. They still are selling them. I mean, how do they get away with that?
Yeah, and like here's a question for you, for the three of you. Who's the bad guy in that situation? Is it the person who purchases that device that comes with all those games, or is it the company or person that's selling it to them? Because if you were to say both, I would say probably, but not really. The bad person there is the person who's selling it. You know, I don't have an issue with somebody who's trying to buy that stuff in a legal way. I go to a store, you know, whether it's a digital storefront or a physical storefront, because some of these things are available in stores. You buy it, has all these games on it. Are you a bad person for doing that? I don't really think so. It's you can buy it. That's some of these things you can get, like the 101s, things like that. Sometimes you could buy that stuff at like freaking Walmart at the checkout next to the candy. Sometimes if you look hard enough, they sell those little, you know, handheld emulator things with like, you know, altered version of real games on them that is not legal.
Oh yeah, those are
It's like,
well, this is an interesting thing.
Yeah,
this is something to think about too along those lines. I didn't know this was a thing. I was young and didn't pay attention to things like that at the time. But I guess at the time that the PS1 was out, still available to buy, there was a thing. You could buy it in stores. There was a PlayStation emulator. It was called Bleem. But it was sold in stores, and the people who made it actually won a lawsuit against Sony.
Really?
Won the lawsuit, yeah, which basically set the precedent that the emulating of software is a legal thing, and you can sell it. So I guess that was like the starting point for all that. But I still don't see like under what grounds did they win this? Because it's like they're taking their games and putting them on another thing and then selling them.
That seems weird. Sony must have really messed up there.
It's in that article that I sent you earlier.
That
had all this other. It's just like a little side note. I was like, that's crazy. I mean, when the PS1 came out, I was quite young. When was that?
2000, or actually PS1.
No, it was in 96.
Yeah, it was
90s.
No, that's too early.
Young. I wasn't paying attention to that, but I saw that earlier. I thought that was very, very weird. I don't think that would happen today. I don't know about you, but I don't see that happening today at all.
No, that wouldn't happen. Actually, the opposite would happen. I think if it were to happen, then it'd probably be Nintendo, and it would probably be found guilty and liable, just like Yuzu is probably going to be.
It's always Nintendo. Like, why is it for pirates, like piracy and emulation stuff? Why is it always Nintendo? Because there's no way other systems aren't being emulated, right?
Well, so in my experience, again, trying to get emulators set up and stuff, I did try to emulate some PS1 games because I did have a PS1 growing up too for a period of time, and it is more difficult to try to get that up and running. You gotta like find BIOS files, and nobody's telling you where to get it. You just like they're like just Google it. Nobody tells you where to get that stuff. It was more difficult, and I couldn't tell you why it's more difficult, but for like GameCube, for example, it's a breeze. All of Nintendo's stuff is the easiest thing I found to emulate. It's always super simple and to the point, even to the point of like, where do you put the games at? It's just a very simple click and drag. And PS1 was
not true.
It is true, and but for some reason PS1 was more complicated. So I don't know. And that interesting segue there. Good point. The argument can be made. Drip has made it many times. Made me angry. That Nintendo should just lock the doors tighter, because it's their fault per se, and lock the doors tighter, you wouldn't have this problem. And I would respond with, maybe it is partly their fault because it's easy to do, but no matter how hard you try, I mean, how many locks you put, Somebody's going to be smart enough to crack the code.
Life will find a way. Have you never seen Jurassic Park?
I've seen it. Damn it, I've seen it. Okay, and I get that, and I'm with you. But again, the more locks you put on the door, the more you're going to deter people from trying to break all of them.
And I mean,
if you're really that concerned about it, if you're really that worried about it, put better locks on your door. Like,
and I would represent that person because I gave up with PS1 emulation. I'm like, there
you go.
This is. I don't feel like doing all that. You know. So yeah, I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right. If it was harder to do, less people would be doing it. I'm an example of that. It's way easier to get GameCube stuff than PS1 games. So I just do the GameCube stuff. But also, there's more GameCube stuff I want to play. That's also why. But yeah, I don't know. Well, we had a good. I forget what we were talking about a second ago. Let's ask this question, everybody. We'll start with our guests. Is there a bad guy in this situation in terms of Yuzu, Nintendo, or the people who emulate? Is there a bad guy here, or is everybody to blame, or is nobody to blame? Like, what do you guys? How do you guys feel about this whole situation?
But it really depends on what people are emulating. If it is something that you can currently get on their system, then you're the bad guy if you're emulating it. But if it's something that you can't get, like what you were saying was like GameCube games, it's Nintendo to blame. If they don't want this issue, then they should have their games readily, or they should have their games available for people to play. And if I just don't know why they keep having this issue, because this is not the first time that they've run into emulation like businesses. Like, how come you haven't put your games out for everyone to play? Like, that's all that we're wanting. Why can't you just do that? Why can't you provide a service that it just lets you? I don't get it. It's like what we were saying earlier. The subscription model definitely is making them more money. So that's why they're not putting out all their games at once.
Yeah, the drip feed gives them the opportunity to remind people why they pay for it and be like,
but then,
oh, look at that.
Maybe, have a higher subscription model.
Yeah, just get the shit
Include
out
more,
maybe
the price.
That's what they're doing. Maybe that's why they're taking out all the competition. They're setting up to release like GameCube games on the Switch. Or
I'm sure that's got to be it.
3DS games on the Switch too. Maybe they're just doing that.
But if that's the case, then why are they releasing Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door?
Money. This all boils down to money. And the reason they went after this company is because they lost money. Not people didn't take money from them, but 1 million illegal downloads that prevented some people from buying the game. So
some of those
lost
happened
money
there.
Yeah, you can't expect all 1 million of those copies or people who stole the game there. You can't. You're not expecting all those people to actually buy the game in real life. So the number is not actually 1 million copies that they lost. But you can
expect 1 million people. That's a lot of people.
You can expect a lot of. You can expect a small minority of those people at the very least who would have actually bought the game if not for this emulation. So it's not. I don't know. I don't want to put a number at it, but it's definitely not 1 million people. Not 1 million copies.
14 of them. 14 of them would have definitely bought the game.
I think a significant number of people and a lot of money. They did lose for sure.
It's hard to think of good and bad guys because it's video games. It's video game.
Yeah.
Like, who cares?
It's piracy, Drip. It's piracy.
Nintendo's a multi-billion-dollar company. Like, who cares if people steal their games? But there is like a selfish part of you that I paid $70 for this game. You should too.
This asshole just stole it. Yeah.
Right. I don't know about you.
If you saw in the lawsuit, they put some tweets in there. From Stealth 40K, he's a big Nintendo person on Twitter.
Yeah.
And he tweeted something like, "Oh, since Tears of the Kingdom has been leaked, I've been spoiled on it," or something.
Yeah.
And they use that as one of their arguments that people get spoiled
Yeah, it was some loose stuff. Honestly, I think if they would have been able to have enough money to take it to court, I think they honestly maybe could have won this, because the court case itself wasn't about. What was it about? It was about we talked about this earlier.
Tears of the Kingdom.
They were
piracy.
facilitating the illegal download of their games. I think that's what.
Yeah, I think they could have honestly had a chance to win if they would have went to court. But I think the stuff that Nintendo came at them with, the stuff that I heard about, like some of the stuff you were talking about in their opening, whatever, I don't even know what you would call it, but all the shit that they brought in the beginning, it was loose. It wasn't very good. But I don't know. I think the bad guy is it's kind of Nintendo and kind of not. Like, I don't think that Nintendo is wrong for defending themselves when people are stealing their shit. I think that's fine. Like, defend yourself. If somebody's making money off your shit, I get that. Like, I don't want people doing that to my stuff. I understand that. So, yeah, do what you got to do. But at the same time, like, make it harder for people to do if you're really that concerned about it. And if you're really concerned about it and you see all these people, as we've said this several times throughout this entire conversation, if you're that concerned, about people getting it, put the locks on, and you see how many people want it, just fucking put it out. Just put it out.
Yeah, that's
just put it out.
That's what pisses me off the most. It's like, if it actually bothers them, this whole emulation thing, why don't they just release these games?
You can fix it. There's several ways to fix it.
Why is there not virtual console? Bring the virtual console back.
If they put it out and they charge us money for it, it's not going to stop people from pirating it.
It's not. Like, at least at that point, they have an option. And it's like, okay, we've tried to give it to you, and you're still doing that. Now we're really going to, like, whatever. I mean,
well, yeah, I will say this, though, because, again, I am somebody's emulating, but I don't consider myself a pirate. And I think there's a lot of people out there who are there's a lot of people out there who are assholes and just trying to steal these games, whether they can get them legally or not. And those people, yes, those people will do what they want to do. But people like me, I just wanted access to these games. I even put my money where my mouth was. Like I said, I bought a 3DS, I bought a Wii U, and I'm not able to get everything that I could wanted to get. And I stopped there. I wanted to go farther with GameCube and stuff, but I can only go so far. And it's not like Nintendo was getting money from that anyway. So if that's the only legal way to do it, that's silly. That's why I went to emulation. Someone like me, if Nintendo were to put out nearly everything they've ever released on a virtual console for the Switch, my ass would be buying most of them. I would be. And there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people like me. I wouldn't be. Yeah, I'm getting more because it's free on emulation, but I would have bought. Yes, I would have bought less.
Do you want to? Here's a secret. You want to know a secret?
What's that?
If they do that, I'm gonna buy every single game.
You will, because you do.
Because I would make my money back tenfold.
You'd make another Mario short talking about how it's for babies.
Pirates.
Arr! Arr, she blows.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, to lump everybody in one category there with emulation is wrong. Not that there's a lot of people doing that, but there's enough people out there who's just like, oh, they're all pirates and evil. It's like, no, I mean, I just want access to these games, man. If Nintendo would give it to me, I would. You kidding me? Ripper and I have been begging, absolutely begging, knees to the ground for Wind Waker Twilight Princess. For years
can't talk
now.
About that. Stop
for
that.
years
you can't talk
now.
About that.
And
you can't talk about that.
I'm so sick of waiting. And that's why I bought a Wii U. I bought a Wii U, and I got both those games on Wii U. But it's much nicer to play it on here because it's like a Switch. It's handheld. That's what I want. That's what I want, Nintendo. But they won't give it to me.
What are you talking about?
Huh?
Yeah,
you can play it on the gamepad.
Yeah, just play on the gamepad.
Yeah, walk 3 feet away and it cuts off.
And it looks so good. Like, let me tell you, it is like crispy.
Shit.
It's crispy on that gamepad, man. It
looks like shit on the gamepad.
I mean, what is that? Is that an OLED like a 420 screen on that thing? Yeah, it's a 4. Yeah,
it's a super OLED screen on that one.
Yeah.
It looks so good. It's blurry because your eyes can't even register how nice it looked. It's
like I said, I want them on the Switch OLED, man. That's where I want to play them.
Would you pay another $60 for them?
Absolutely.
Dude, I have Skyward Sword HD.
Each.
I did that.
Each.
I also have Skyward Sword for the Wii. I bought 2 copies, count them 2, of both Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. And in fact, you can see it up there, the Zelda special edition. I put my money where my mouth is, Nintendo. That's why I'm not afraid.
I complain. Listen,
like,
I would complain.
Yeah, you have to buy 2 copies. You have to buy 2 copies so you cancel out 1 pirated copy.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. It's making up for it. Yeah.
I mean, listen, if they put those out, I'm not supposed to be talking about this because it's past February and I promised I wouldn't. But if they put them out, I would definitely pay $60 for each. I would complain the entire time and be so pissed. But
I wouldn't pay $60 each. I'd buy a voucher and I'd buy both with a voucher. That's what I would do.
There you go.
I just bought some vouchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's what a pirate would say.
So Johnny was talking about Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, and the reason why they're releasing it is because of money. But will they be making that much money? Like, it's one of the biggest Paper Mario games.
More than zero.
Is it just going to be emulated?
I mean, it's gonna have the same problem as all the other ones. It's definitely gonna have the same problem as every other Switch game.
I don't think that's gonna
stop. I don't think that's gonna stop until we get to the next system, and it may not even stop then. That was another thing too.
Yeah.
It was RGT. He had a video on some stuff about this, and then made another video. But he said somebody in his comment section said something, and he was like, I actually, thought this was interesting, and he said it in his video. But he was talking about the fact of them doing this now, like we talked about, why are they doing this now? Maybe because the Switch 2 is very similar as far as going to be able to be hacked, going to be able to get these games super easy. And they're just trying to crack down now before they drop this thing in 2025 to kind of minimize their loss. I mean, that's why they delayed the thing. Well, supposedly delayed the thing in the first place, because they want to make sure they have the games there to make sure it's going to be selling strong, good software sales. And I mean, people emulating the brand new systems games before they even come out, that's going to be a big problem. It's going to be a huge problem. So
I do think that they will make money because there are people like us buying multiple copies of everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're all going to buy Paper Mario. That we're all going to buy it. None of us are going to emulate it or pirate it.
Yeah, that is one I'm definitely buying.
But Johnny, you and I have talked about this before. Like, we're content creators. That's why we're buying it, and that's why we're talking about it. And like, not everybody is as big.
Not
as
everybody
Nintendo
knows how to emulate. Not everybody knows how to emulate.
Yeah,
Switch
no,
games.
I don't understand it.
Yeah,
especially casuals. And Nintendo's audience is casual.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the bulk of their audience is not people who emulate. The bulk of their audience is casuals,
which is wild
just want to
because
go to
they're
Walmart
the
and buy
ones
the
that
game,
are in the news all the time.
Right.
Like they're the ones that are having the problem with it so much, but they also have the most casual audience. Like, there's an issue. There's an issue that starts with Nintendo here, clearly.
Yeah, there is a big, emulation population. I don't know what the number is, but
like that.
Those are mainly
pirates.
Those are mainly PC.
Let it see, Jeeb.
I'm sorry. There's a large population of pirates. It's a large population, but they're mainly consists of computer nerds and PC gamers. You know what I mean? It's not Nintendo fans. It's not. They're just people who want to either take or people who like to tinker and have fun. That's kind of where I fall. I like to tinker and have fun. That's a big reason why I emulate. It's fun, to tinker around.
Is it like people have kind of the Robin Hood behavior? Like, is that why?
Oh yeah.
There's so much?
I think there's the people who are talking preservation. Those are the Robin Hood people. They're thinking that they're saving the world by downloading ROMs off of illegal websites. It's like you're not doing anything, man. It's not doing anything. I just want to play the damn games. That's where I stand. It's just give me the access, Nintendo, please. I want to sail the seas on the Switch. That's what I want to do, please.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see pirates on the way. Find those bokoblin pirates.
Sea of Thieves, though.
Sea of Thieves. Oy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
We're dealing with a Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Get it?
No, man, hold on. I don't have it. Where's it at?
Hey, Mario Day's in a few days. It's on Sunday.
It is.
I heard some leaks.
So with the Peach demo dropping today, does that negate the rumor that we're getting something on Sunday?
Yeah, we're not getting anything on Sunday anyway. It's Sunday. Also, my birthday. No big deal. But we're not getting anything on Sunday. When have they ever done anything like that on Sunday? I mean, maybe, but what would it even be? What would it be?
I don't know.
It's info about Paper Mario and Luigi Mansion 2.
A date?
That was rumored that could be
That
coming.
Pyro, I don't even know how to say his name. That Pyora guy.
Pioro.
He said there's something happening on Sunday.
Well, we'll see.
I don't.
Be a nice little birthday present for
Listen,
me.
if it's just a tweet, I don't think it's that weird. They may not do it often or ever, but a Sunday tweet's not crazy, especially if it's just dates for games we know it's coming.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are we that excited about? If that's what it is, like we know they're coming. Like,
Yeah,
they
No,
said
it's not
summer
exciting.
for Luigi's Mansion. Like, we know it's coming.
Honestly,
in a 3-month block.
the exciting part of if they do that, the exciting part is not that. The exciting part is, well, then, damn, when's the next direct? Like, because that's something they could potentially hold on to for a next direct. If they're light on content to begin with, they're gonna save those dates for whenever their next direct would be to put that in there to fill some time. So if they're releasing the tweets early like that, when the hell is the next Nintendo Direct? If that's the case, that's what's interesting to me.
I don't know if you know about our bet, me and Cheesy's bet.
I don't know.
So, well, it's like a one-sided bet because I'm gonna win. So I'm not even gonna make him do a punishment when I win. But the bet is Nintendo is not going to release anything like made by Nintendo after
these two
Endless
games.
Ocean. Like the games that we already know about.
When's
like
Endless
that's
Ocean
what
come
we're
out?
getting.
It's
That
summertime.
comes out in May.
Yeah.
That one looks
Like
cool.
That-
the
that
games
should-
that we know about are it. And
And
then
if he-
I also threw a Metroid.
Why
because
would they do
might
that? Why
happen.
do you think Nintendo would do that? Like, that's a whole year of sales they're missing out on.
Yeah. See, I also think that Johnny is crazy. If he loses, he's doing
I
the
think
one
you're
chip
crazy
challenge.
too, man. I think you're crazy too. I think you're gonna lose
Like
that bet.
this
man.
is Nintendo,
Well,
who's
I
always
caveated
surprising
it
us.
with-
the machine.
I
The
caveated it
machine.
with Metroid Prime 4 because that's the heavily rumored thing right now that Metroid Prime 4 will come out this year.
Yeah, I'm not allowed
And
to
that will
talk
be the
about
only
what
thing.
Yeah, I'll say it because Drip's not allowed because we made a bet and he lost. Drip just insists that this is the perfect time to bring out Twilight Princess and Windmaker for Switch because they're so
But
light
that doesn't.
on
Oh, that
content.
was the other stipulation. It can't be a remake or a remaster.
Oh, okay. Then never mind. Then yeah, you're probably right. There's nothing new. Yeah, it's all gonna be remakes, remasters for sure. Yeah, all the new shit's going to the Switch too, for sure. They're not putting anything else.
I thought you were referring to any software whatsoever. You're just talking
Yeah, I
about
think we're gonna
new
see more
stuff.
Anything
No, you're not
made
crazy,
by
no.
Nintendo that is not a remaster or remake.
Oh,
Okay,
that's an important
never
key
mind.
there.
I'm jumping ship. I'm with you.
I'm
with you.
not. I don't know. I got a 1 foot in the boat, 1 foot kind of thinking about it still. I don't know. But yeah,
there ain't gonna be nothing new.
I don't think there's anything new this year. If there is something new this year, then the Switch 2 is coming out as well, and it's going to be. Like
I don't think Metroid Prime 4.
you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
if the
coming this
Switch
year
2
either.
comes out this year, I'll concede. I'll take the loss.
I
on
think
that.
the only
I'd
way
gladly, so I have to eat the one chip. If I lose, I eat the one
Have you
chip.
done it?
I haven't
I've
done it. Cheesy
I-
did it.
yeah,
I've done it. Oh
From
my God.
another
I
bet
thought I
that
was
he
gonna
lost
die.
to me.
I thought I was gonna.
I haven't
die,
lost
honestly.
a bet. All right, I have not lost a bet yet, and I'm not about to start.
Are you doing it on a podcast? Like, because that I can't imagine.
Yeah.
That's
I'll
hopefully at
definitely
the end
record
of
this. I'm not going to sit in my house and just like eat the one chip by myself.
Oh, I did it, man. It really
Like,
hurts.
Nobody around. Look, man, this sucks. I gotta call somebody.
Well, I'm saying like don't do it at the beginning of a show. That's for sure. You may not recover.
I'm telling you.
When Cheesy did it, we were doing another show and did it at the beginning, and that was like part of the challenge. They had to last the whole 1 hour episode.
I did the full hour.
Wow.
Oh my God. Mine's on the
Wow.
internet. Me and one of my buddies did it. He was doing he started a food like review channel, and I was doing it with him for a while, just in the beginning to help him kind of like get it going and stuff. We did the one chip challenge. It's on the internet. I'll send it to you guys. I fucking died. I literally was like, somebody's going to take me to the hospital, man. My insides are exploding right now.
Yeah,
Something
we had
bad is happening inside me right now.
We had a timer on the show, and like I was counting it down, and my wife was just right next to me with a solo cup, just a root beer float, just ready to go.
I mean, I'm not going to have to do it. Like it's going to feel so good.
I remember being outside. I was laying in a gravel like driveway. Like I'm literally gonna die right now. This is where I die. Like somebody call my kids. I gotta say goodbye. This is the end right here. Like this is nuts.
Oh man.
And then I mean, it was days of that. Like my stomach would just get into these fits, and I'd just be like, oh god.
Oh no.
Something bad's happening. Something bad's happening.
I kind of want to try a chip, but now you guys are talking, making me not want to try a chip.
You want to be part of the bet?
You don't want to try it.
No, because I disagree with you. Well, actually, wait. I might agree. Wait.
If you're on my side, you win.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you now.
Well,
once you changed it to the whole
it's no new stuff.
Remakes.
Yeah, I think it's doubtful that there's Ports and remakes will come out for sure. But I don't
think that there will be any kind of surprise release.
Nope.
Like not even their lesser IPs.
I think it's surprise
to even give a chance.
Now, Cheesy, are you?
If Kirby screws me over, I'm going to be so pissed.
I don't think they will, because I really think they are very, very concerned about how the Switch 2 launches, and I think they want to make sure that they have just the most amazing lineup for the first year, just banger after banger, and they're going to save everything they have one a month.
Is the bet for the announce? Is the bet include announcements, or is it things that
it has to come out this year? It has to come out this year.
I think that Metroid Prime 4 we hear about this year, but I don't think it comes out this year.
Well, that was a stipulation. It can't be Metroid Prime 4.
Okay. I'm not, I have no idea what could come out this year, but I think whatever is announced this year is for next year. I don't think we get any.
But even if it is Metroid Prime 4, I might throw you a bone, because there's no hope that that's coming out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Cheesy. I can't be with you. I don't think there's no new software. Why would they put out new software for the Switch right now? I think they're all hands on deck for Switch 2.
That's what I'm saying. I think it could be like a lesser IP that isn't really going to sell that well, but they need to have their schedule filled.
Like,
you're not crazy. I don't think you're crazy, Cheesy.
No, it's
going to be a remake.
Yeah, you're not crazy. I think it's very possible.
But what if it's like
but I don't think it is likely.
I'm trying to think of some IPs that. God, Kirby, yeah.
That's like
Kirby screws me over.
What was that $15 Kirby game that you roll around with Kirby?
Oh my god, my kids love it.
Dream Buffet.
Like something stupid like that could come out. I could see that happening. I wouldn't bet. I think that counts, I wouldn't bet for it.
Does that count? I don't know if that counts.
It absolutely does count.
Okay, whoa. That definitely counts.
Oh,
that
for sure.
A Nintendo made game and it's new. That 100% would count.
Like even if it was F-Zero 99, that would count.
Yeah.
New game,
man.
I mean,
it's not a remake.
I don't know about that.
It's not it's not a port. It's not a remake.
Okay, but what IPs? I mean, I'm trying to think of some stuff that they haven't put out. Star Fox is one that's not on the Switch, but I mean, I feel like if they got a Star Fox game, they're saving that for the Switch too.
Unless it's a port,
right?
Unless it's a port.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't count. What about like Kid Icarus or something like that?
Yeah, Punch Out. Yeah, Kid Icarus is probably a remake.
Next Level is not doing Punch
the
Out.
3DS one.
Oh, if Mario Baseball comes out, oh no. I didn't even think about the
sports games.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting
sports games.
Maybe I'm jumping back on the other ship here.
Well,
no, that's not what I wanted. There it is.
Good
Why
God.
Clapping? That's not what I need.
Well, guys, I think we need to. I think we've hit our limit here, so I think we should go ahead and move on to the after show for a few minutes here. And thank you to the Communication Error Podcast for joining us in this episode. Can't forget about that. Thank you both, Johnny and Cheesy, for taking the time out of your busy weeks.
Yeah, thank you.
Of course. And with that said, make sure to go down below in the description, click the link, go subscribe to the Communication Error Podcast, and follow them wherever they are. All their links, I'm sure, are on their channel as well. And again, those of you in the stream, we're hanging out. We'll talk to them for a few more minutes. But those of you listening to the show, we will see you guys next week.
Peace.